Dragon Ball, probably the most influential anime to ever exist. Even in all the anime communities that I've been to, no matter what language, if I say Dragon Ball, they're pulling out the Kamehameha. It's something that brings us all together, no matter the language barrier or what have you. And it's sad that now I'm talking about this when Akira Toriyama has passed away. I wanted to talk about Dragon Ball for a while, and in memory of him, I wanted to talk about my experience with Dragon Ball, because that actually made me some friends, and so I feel as if I owe the series to talk about this. So, as you can probably tell, I am English. And over here we have a channel called Kicks. Kicks used to have some animes on. I can't remember every single one of them, but the main three were Digimon, Danger Squad, then it would be Ultimate Muscle, and then our main subject, Dragon Ball. To be more specific, Dragon Ball Z Kai. I love that show. It was probably one of the only shows that I would constantly be waiting for, and watched about 3 times when I was younger. No matter when it was on, didn't matter what episode it was, I was watching it. And as such, left off weird. So for context, at that point in time, when I was younger, I think I was about 11 years old, the show ended off with Gohan being the successor. There was no Buu Saga, so it ended off with Gohan becoming a new protector and Goku staying dead. So it was weird for me. It was bittersweet, but when watching the show, I think it ended off perfectly with the context that I had given. Because I didn't know about Dragon Ball beforehand, and the show started off weirdly with us being known that Goku was an alien, which probably would have hit harder if I knew Dragon Ball beforehand. But we watched Gohan from a kid, from the very first episode, all the way to him becoming a new successor. Now obviously, we didn't see anything after that. But yeah, I think it ended off great with that context, but now watching the Buu Saga, I think it ended off better with the Buu Saga. However, growing up, I'd only have some friends who talk about Dragon Ball, and it really got me talking a lot more, because it was a series I could talk to other people about. A lot of us knew Ben 10. A nice way to bring up Ben 10 in this. But for context, there weren't a lot of shows on that people would want to talk about, especially around where I was. And as such, Dragon Ball was one of the only ones that really brought me and my friends together when it came to a cartoon. And I am very autistic. I know it's weird to say it, but I am. And it's very hard for me to get talking points, especially at such a younger age. So, I have to thank Dragon Ball for that. It got me into that, and I would later pursue even more Dragon Ball stuff. So, at the time, I didn't know too much. I was looking up different Dragon Ball stuff. So, one day I came across Raging Blast 1 and 2. That's how actually I found out about the Buu Saga, was through Dragon Ball Raging Blast series, and that's how I consumed the Buu Saga for years. And as such, I really wanted to know more. And so when I finally could go onto YouTube and watch it properly on my old computer, one person that helped me out was my friend, who I'm going to be referring to as Pineapple Salads, who helped me learn about Death Note and anime. That was the first time I ever heard the word anime. And because of that, I learned more about it. I looked on YouTube and I wonder if more stuff to do with Dragon Ball is on there. And as such, I went for that and I found out more stuff about that. Now, I knew about Raging Blast beforehand from YouTube, but I wasn't too big into YouTube at the time. It was only later when I played Raging Blast, I then got told about anime, was when I really got back into Dragon Ball. And as such, I watched the first episode of Boo and I went, no, you know what? I found out recently that there's an original Dragon Ball series that start from to finish. So I said, you know what, I'm doing this right. And then I watched the entire Dragon Ball series. And that was a magic experience. I know not too many people now like the series, especially compared to other anime, but that was an experience I will never regret. I think today, if I was to have gotten into the anime community a bit later on, when it became way more popular, I think I wouldn't have given the show a chance, and that's what I don't like. I think everyone should give Dragon Ball a chance. But the main thing was this Super Saiyan. Obviously, it's a big thing in the community, and I love that. Super Saiyan was probably one of the things that got me into it. Watching Dragon Ball, Gohan was one of my favourite characters, and Goku was definitely a great character. One part, though, that I think was great when I watched it was because of how late I watched it. I watched the Dragon Ball Z movie that came out after that, which was 2, I think, actually. The Dragon Ball, I think it was special, not a movie, I could be wrong on that though. Dragon Ball special where they all come back and it's Tarball and that. And then after that we have the Battle of Gods, one of the best games that came out of that was the Xenoverse, which I played so many times, and I'm so glad they brought that series out. But I don't wish for this to become a review of Dragon Ball, so I don't want to go too much into that. So I'm going to leave that part there, because as you can see, I'm very excited about Dragon Ball, because it meant a lot to me, and I'm pretty sure it meant a lot to you. So the one part that I think goes unappreciated the most is just how well it was built up for a lot of the different situations when it comes to both the transformations and other things. I think all 3 Super Saiyan forms were shown off and done the right amount of justice. Super Saiyan 3 came out of nowhere compared to the other ones, yes. However, we already knew Goku would try and pull out a new form. We just didn't know what it was. And watching it was one of the craziest experiences I've ever had. Super Saiyan 2 was put up so well. It was alluded to so well. But the original Super Saiyan, oh my god, I remember watching that for the first time ever. I was so hyped watching the first Super Saiyan transformation that I'm pretty sure that's all I would draw or talk about or reenact. I was one of those kids who would, yell as hard as I can. I'm pretty sure near enough every Dragon Ball enjoyer has been there at some point shouting. You're either shouting an attack or you're pretending to transform. There's no in between. But yeah. So I just think that a lot of people aren't giving Dragon Ball its credit where it's due. But one thing that I appreciate now, as we went on to Super, which by the way, this part is the next part that I think is the reason why I wanted to talk about Dragon Ball more, and the reason why I still felt as if it was one of the best animes out there. And that was due to the fact that, well, how can I put this? Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super, when it came down to it, felt tight-knit, as in, like, the teachings of it was really well done with Goku. With Goku, it was perfect. I think Goku as a character, when it came to Super, was great. Now, one thing I should note, I think he is dumber, but he's a lot dumber than he was before, and that is negative. But the plus was the teachings. The plus is something that I think is important in Dragon Ball. You don't get this right in Dragon Ball, then I don't think it's well, I don't think he's done right as a series, and that was with Ultra Instinct. I won't give you too long, but the teachings from each part taught Goku how to use Ultra Instinct, and that was a stepping stone to move without thinking. And then finally seeing Ultra Instinct for the first time, you knew that was great. Now, the reason why I think it's great is because it never came out of left field. It felt like throughout the entire series, this is what Goku's transformation and this is what Goku's training has been leading up to. I was always worried that Super would feel very weird, that Super would just be there for the money and that'd be it. But no, I think in truth, Super, when it comes to Ultra Instinct, has now made Super integral to Goku's story. And I think that's what's great. I think when it came down to it, that's the biggest thing about Dragon Ball that I love, is what it can do with both the transformations and its message. I think I'm going to leave it there though. There's so much I can talk about more. One thing that definitely comes to my mind, which I won't go too much into, due to it ending off at the Cell Saga, I had this idea where Gohan, as an adult, would fight Frieza. Like, he would come back, funny enough, like Resurrection F, long before that. He would use a new transformation, but it would be something similar to, what's it called? It would be similar to his brother's Cooler's transformation, so I had to have that. But one thing I learned beforehand, I don't remember how it came up, but I learned about Frieza early on. So early on when I had YouTube, I think there was Dragon Ball content on there, because I think I looked it up once before. I just couldn't find any episodes. But when I found out about Raging Blast 2 or 1, the big thing that I remember seeing was Budokai. I believe it was Budokai. And one of the alternate skins had Frieza's son, which I think someone talked about in a video when I watched it. I thought that was so cool. And then I had this idea that Frieza and Gohan would be fighting each other. That Frieza, if it ever came back, I was hoping that Frieza would be in it. Like, it would be a time skip and Frieza would be like, oh, hello, you killed my your father killed my father, and I must take revenge against you. And, you know, from there he would use Cooler's transformation, and I made his own variant. I really went in detail with that. But obviously, once I found out about Buu Saga, I dropped it. But yeah, as you can tell, this has brought back great memories, and I thank Dragon Ball. I thank Akira Toriyama for the series that brought so much of the anime community together, where Ultra Instinct blew up the entire internet, so much so that when I watched it, I didn't even watch it in sub or dub. And I could understand it, and I could feel the impact. So, thank you. I'm sorry that you're gone, but thank you. That's all I have to say. Now, I do wish to know about your experience with Dragon Ball in the comments. Please let me know. This has been FearfulMilk. This isn't my traditional video, as you can tell, but thank you for stopping by, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and have a lovely day.